In today's video, we're going to be discussing understanding body language. Now, why is it so important to understand body language? Because it helps us. It can help us to understand how we're coming across, number one. It can also help us to enhance our relationships by understanding our child's body language. So if they're feeling discomfort, we're able to recognize why they're feeling discomfort, because their body language is telling us that. It's giving us feedback. And also, by understanding how we come across, how we carry ourselves, conduct ourselves, we can make the adjustments. Now, there's two types of body language. There's one that is very negative, and then there's a positive body language. The negative one is you're defensive. You've got your arms crossed, your facial expressions are screwed up, your tone of voice is not correct. There's a distance between you and your child. This is very negative body language. Now, the positive one is your open arms. You're very embracive. The distance is reduced. Now you're more closer to your child. You're hugging your child. You don't have a frown on your facial expressions. It's not screwed up. You got a nice warm energy about you. You're leaning towards your child. This is positive body language. It's very embracive, not defensive like this with your arms crossed. Or another form of defensive body language, negative body language is when you're on your phone and you're doing this and you're scrolling and you can see your child is looking at you and you're not giving your child attention. Look at what you're doing with your body language. Look, I'm scrolling and I'm doing it. Okay, one sec. Okay, cool. By you doing that, how do you think you're making your child feel? They're going to feel disregarded. They're going to feel that my dad don't care about me. The phone is more important to my dad. That's going to break them. Especially if you do it over and over and over again. So you got to be mindful about what your body language looks like, appears like in front of your child, and also recognize how is your child's body language, and then adjust. Now, body language is about non-verbal communication. It's what actions are you doing with your body language. I want you guys to think of a time where you can recall someone being negative towards you. Not necessarily what they said, but their body language. What was it like when they're being very defensive? Think about it. Now, think about a positive body language. When someone was very embracive, warm towards you, what were their body language like? And did you know that body language is also linked to emotions? Yes, how are you feeling will dictate how are you coming across with your body language to your spouse, to your child. I'll give you an example. If I'm feeling sad, what do you think my body language is going to look like? My neck, my head facing down, my shoulders all shrugged down. I got an arch on my upper back. Just slouching. Very poor, weak body language. Because I'm sad, or I'm depressed, or I'm just not feeling good. But what would my body language look if I was feeling upbeat? Shoulders back. Strong, confident body language. Open body language. Very positive, empowering. This is what I'm talking about. Being mindful about how you come across. Because the thing is this, look. Why is it that we are able to psychologize people and understand other people's body language, but we can't even understand how we are coming across? And also, when our children or our family is feeling very uncomfortable or discomforted, why aren't we quick to make the adjustments through our body language and also recognize any discomforts through their body language? Why are we so blind? So that's just something to think about. All right, so the whole idea of body language is to build trust. That's the first one. The second one is the whole idea of body language is to build emotional awareness, because body language is highly, highly linked to emotions. Your body language will change according to how you feel. And that's a given, because they go hand in hand, not one without the other. But you do need to be mindful and more aware of how you're coming across, despite the fact that how you may be feeling, especially if you're trying to communicate with others. The thing is this: your body language can be whatever it is, depending on your emotion. If you're alone, fine, be as you are. Be negative with your body language and your posture. But when it comes down to dealing with people, you have to be very mindful about how you're coming across. Be aware. And the way to do that is also watch how people are drawn to you. If they're drawn to you, if you're making them smile, if they're feeling positive around you, then that means that you're doing something positive with your body language. That means that you've carried and conducted yourself very, very well, because they're warming towards you. If someone's feeling very defensive, maybe, just maybe, it could be the way your body language is coming across, not just what you said. Yeah, so just be aware of these types of situations and things. So there's another thing about body language is facial expressions. When you're talking, be mindful about what you're doing with your facial expressions, because you can have a patronizing face when you're talking. So I'll give you an example. I'm going to just take off these shades. So if I'm talking to you, if you're talking to me and I'm pulling all sorts of facial expressions, like, is it? What are you talking about? Really? Nah. How do you think that could make someone feel? Your facial expressions is enough, without you saying anything, to put someone off you, to really hurt someone, because you can bully someone. You can bully your spouse or your child by just your mere facial expressions. You can put on a patronizing face like, okay. You can roll back your eyes like, okay, here we go again. See that facial expression? What do you think that could do to someone on the receiving end of your facial expressions? Be careful. Then your posture. When you're speaking, try and break the distance. Try and stand quite close within a range of giving a hug to your child or to your spouse. Don't make too much distance with your body language, because there's also distance. So if I'm here, say I got this phone here, and this phone could be my spouse, all right. This is a good distance because it's within kissable range, it's within a hug range, same as my child. But if it's over here, it could be quite defensive. Lean in. Close the gap, close the distance. And gestures. You can do so many things with your hands as you're speaking, as you're talking. Have open arms rather than closed. Be mindful of your gestures with your facial expressions, with your hand gestures, with the distance between you and the person. Yeah? So these are the types of things to be cautious of. How you're carrying yourself and conducting yourself. And then on top of what you say. But that's in another video. Anyway, let's move on to our child's body language. It's about understanding your child's body language as well. Depending on how they're feeling, they're going to demonstrate all types of body languages to you. And it's up to you to identify, okay, I'm talking to my child looks very discomforted in his body language or in her body language. How do I help? How do I adjust and give them that bit of reassurance that they need? Yeah. And is it the right time for me to speak? Maybe that their body language is like this and the timing is just not quite right to speak. So you can leave them for that moment, but don't abandon them. You come back to them. Touch base from time to time. Find suitable times to speak. Yeah, and you don't have to be so overpowering or forceful with your body language, because sometimes your whole demeanor can be very confrontational. So be careful of that. All right. So, how can we reinforce positive body language? Like I've said before, be open. Remember the times when you were approached by someone in your life who had a positive body language. What were they doing with their body? What was their body language like? What was their facial expressions like? What were their distance like? What were they doing with their hand gestures? What were they doing with their lips, their smile? Were they smiling? Were they frowning? Were they just happy, embracive, charming. What does a charming body language look like? What does a sad body language look like? What does an angry body posture look like? You're able to recognize these different types of body language because they're linked to emotions. So be mindful about these types of things, because by doing this, sorry, I've got the prayer kicking in. So the whole idea is to have a calming presence about yourself, a nice relaxed body posture. I'm not talking about lazy, I'm not talking about laxed, I'm just talking about an embracive type of body language. Because by having an embracive body language, you're setting off a positive energy. And when you set off a positive energy, it only makes people want to be drawn towards you. And this is what I'm talking about.